Assalamu alaikum, folks in the internet land. Welcome to our Georgia Suburban Homestead.
And the Muslim Beekeeping Initiative.
And the Muslim Beekeeping Initiative. So, we're going over the parts of a hive. This is the bottom board. This is the screen bottom board. See me? Aha. Screen bottom board, it lets air flow. But it also lets cappings fall through to the bottom, or fall through to the ground. Because when the brood is uncapped, they don't reuse that wax for some strange reason. And in the winter, you have a drought preventer, is what I want to call it, if you want to call it that. Another thing that's useful for these things is you pull them out and you can inspect them to see what is being dropped. Because if you have mites, there's likely to be a few dead mites on your drought thing. And you can buy these; they have little grid lines, and then you can count how many mites you've got per grid thing, so you get an estimate of how bad your mite problem is. My preference is to never have a mite, although that takes a lot of work. I went for years. It was the year before last was the first time I ever had a mite. So,
is it a dust mite?
A mite? Yes.
It's a dust mite.
It will decimate your hives. You've heard of colony collapse?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that can cause colony collapse is a huge amount of mites. Okay. And they buy a little bottle, and you collect a bunch of bees in that bottle, and you kill them with some alcohol. You shake it up real good and it washes those mites off, and then you can count how many mites you got for how many bees. Okay? But again, my preference, if you can do it, never get mites, which means treating them twice a year.
That's another lecture.
We'll go into that someday. So we have a bottom board. We're going to sit this somewhere.
Can you pass it along?
Say again?
Pass it along?
Right here. Okay. This is a standard brood box. A 10-frame brood box. Relatively deep frames. If you want to fill those, you can fill how I put a lot of wax on. It's harder to see on the yellow. Plastic tends to come in 3 colors: yellow, black, and green. Black is typically used for brood. Yellow is typically used for honey, but I messed up and bought some for brood. Okay. The reason black is used for the brood is it's a lot easier to see the eggs down in the hole. The yellow is just color of the honey kind of. So, but you can fill, hopefully you can fill that wax. If you look closely, you can see how the buildup of wax of this one is much thicker than that little bit that you saw. You can see here, there's almost nothing.
Yeah.
These cells are pretty deep.
That's what I'm attempting to do. Okay? I did that on purpose. Okay?
How long it survive?
What, the wax?
No, the
Plastic? Or the frame? Years. That's why I like the
for a long time.
plastic foundation. When you if you fill this, get this full of honey, and you put it in your extractor and you get it up, spinning up real fast, that plastic won't pop out. But if you're using the traditional nothing but wax with some wires in it, you spin it too fast and it all flies out, and then your bee's got to start over. But this was an illustration of where the bees started to pull it out. You can see here, they were starting at the bottom and they were going to work their way toward the top. where actually that was the top and they were working their way toward the bottom. Every so often, take your frames out, clean them off, because over time, every time a bee cocoons inside that cell, it makes it a little thinner, because it leaves behind some goo, you know. And that thinness is the protein from the cocoon. And that protein starts building up, and the next thing you know, you have wax moths, because the wax moths are attracted to that protein. They won't necessarily eat the ones that you use for honey. They won't eat that wax. What they're really wanting is the protein that was left over. All right? So, as I said, this one will take 10 frames. And I've got 3 frames in here. I've got to go through and clean up some more frames and re-wax them. Again, the inside is not painted. I paint the rims on these things. The reason being that the rain is going to seep in, and if the wood here is not painted, that rain will seep into the wood. Okay? Now you're gonna ask, what's gonna happen on the inside? Well, the bees are gonna glue the inside shut, and so that water won't infiltrate into the hive. All right? So, we have the bottom board. And we're put a brood box on it. You have this gap. That's your entrance gap where they're coming in.
I call that
out.
the front porch.
The front porch, yeah. And every once in a while, if you spend much time watching your bees, you'll see the queen has sent them out and they're licking the front porch, keeping it clean. There's always going to be a set of bees just inside the front porch, and they're going to protect that hive from other things trying to come in.
Like us.
Particularly bees from other hives trying to come in, because you know they got their stores of honey and they don't want other hives to start stealing it. Okay, so the inner cover, it's got a little notch here, it's got a little hole here, so the notch always goes toward the front, never toward the back. The reason being, you don't want the bees to have guard bees both front and back. And sometimes bees will come out of that hole, and you want all your bees to come out the front, never the back, because you're going to work your hive from the back. And if the bees are accustomed to coming out the back, they're coming out toward you. Okay, so never work your hives from the front, because the bees are going to come, you know, depending on how high your hive is, they may come out at your knees or whatever, you know, but you're in the way. And bees are not the best of flyers sometimes, and they will run into you, and yeah, minimize that. The outer cover, this style cover is for folks who are hobbyist beekeepers or home beekeepers. If you're a migrant beekeeper, the folks that put their beehives on trucks and move them around all the time, the cover is flush with the side of the box, so that they can pack the beehive side by side without any gap between them. Okay? Now, in the summer, you push that to the front, so the air flows out that little hole where that notch was. In the winter, push it to the back to minimize that airflow. You know, they're trying to keep it warm in there. In the winter, they're trying to keep their hive around 50 to 53 degrees, depending on the version of bee you have. And so you just make it a little easier on them to keep it warm. Okay? So this is a single brood box. And you'll notice on my hives, I've got some that are single brood boxes. I've got some that are 2 brood boxes. And then I have some with supers on top of them. I didn't bring a super out. The super is a shorter box. They come in 3 sizes. This is deep. Thank you. I use mediums for my supers. And then you have shorts. The shorts are about like that. The medium's about like that. You can see how deep a deep is. Now, the reason that I use mediums for my honey supers is honey is heavy. I probably won't let y'all pick up one of my honey supers that's full, but that thing's going to weigh about 70 to 90 pounds. Okay, and about all but about 8 pounds of that is honey.
Is this a one box you're talking about, or you're talking about one of those that you put?
Just one box.
All
One
right.
whole box.
The hive that has the 3 has 2 deeps and 3 mediums. I'm talking about the mediums.
The medium ones, 80
A
pounds.
medium of honey weighs from 70 to 90 pounds. Kind of heavy. Especially when you're up like this trying to move that sucker and do it smoothly. Because you don't want to bounce your bees around. It makes them mad. Alright. And you notice no paint whatsoever. Very little paint on the inside. And only the insides of this are not painted. I do paint the front porch because it will get wet. I paint the bottom, which, you know, not necessarily because it won't necessarily get rain on it, but if I did have enough rain, you know, blowing that hit that front porch, you could drain in, you know, move into the hive and then start draining out the bottom. So I paint the bottom.
What type of paint do you use?
Outside paint.
Exterior paint. You use a gloss or a matte? Hold it up for the camera.
Killball is the primer. And their exterior or flat. Doesn't really matter whether it's shiny or flat. They don't care. Flat costs about half as much as shiny.
And you can do pretty colors and paint little flowers on it, or
Yes, there are folks, and I could probably go to my storeroom and get you. Someone gave me their equipment once, and he used shallows, and he painted them in
primary colors, wasn't it?
no camouflage. I don't know why, but he painted his hives as camouflage. Alright, so who wants to try to go in a hive with me
Okay,
today?
I am going to make a suggestion. Okay, first, how many people are going to be brave and put on a suit?
Alright,
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm going to
She's
say
got
no
her
to
suit.
you. Well, you got socks on,
Yeah, I
right?
got socks
Okay, you got socks on. Alright.
Yeah. Are your pants long enough to tuck into your socks?
Yes.
Because that's an invitation for them to climb up your feet and up your pants.
Yes.
And you don't want them to sting you there.
Wear,
Right?
wear
I am
socks.
close.
And
It's closed.
Should you get? Do you want to get some duct tape?
No,
no.
it's okay from here.
Yes.
It's lock.
I tend not to use soap.
He's tied his. Look, he's tied his ankles.
Right.
Brother over here. Uh oh. Thank you. Brother over here is. See, where are you? There you are. Is tucking his pants into his socks. We don't want a disaster there. 3 people only? Yeah.
Yeah, 3 people for now.
Okay, we'll wait.
All right.
Doesn't Charlie look handsome in his V-suit?
The bee wall.
Yes.
Okay. The concept for the bee wall is, again, to keep them from flying into people. As they come out the front, the bee wall kind of forces them up and over people's heads. Once a bee is up at height, it's not going to come back down until it's wherever it wants to find flowers.
I'm okay here.
And
Without the suit?
with us, with the trees kind of circling us in the house, they really go up high. So that's really nice. Okay? This is king ant. King ant's supposed to keep ants out of my hives. He doesn't. He's not real good at it. Okay, nice little tool. You might want to get one of these. They have them that latch.
So which hive are you going to be doing, babe?
We're going to do this one real quick.
Okay, let me come in and set up the camera, and then I will walk out.
Now, buy yourself a tool. You're going to need a tool. Okay, they come in different forms. That one's got a kind of a crook to it. This one's always got yourself a nice little hook.
Show the camera.
Nice little hook. All right. And they will glue these things together. So, I've got bees all over the inside of the hive. I got bees coming out the top now. This is an 8 frame box. 8. You hear that pop? That's like letting loose. So, see this ridge of stuff here?
Can you see it?
Yeah. That's where they glued it together. This ridge. Right here. See this bridge right around the edge here? They glued this piece, the inner cover, to the rest of the hive. Yeah, remove droughts. Make sure no little buggies get to come in, like ants. So put this to the side. And remember, you will kill a bee or two. Now this is where this hook comes in. See that little notch? You can hook that thing under. That notch hits that other frame, and you can lift it up. Now, you see that gap right there? I don't know if you can see that. There's a gap right here. They make these boxes a little bit wider than 8 or 10 frames, so that you can have a little bit of gap. You can shove your tool down, rock it back and forth,
And then you pick up.
and then you can lift that out. Now, this goes in there and pulls it out. Now, this frame, obviously, I didn't do a good job of waxing it. I didn't do a horrible job of waxing it, but I didn't do a good job. Okay? So, see there? It's not real even here, and especially not even on this side. And there's no honey on it. Now we're going to set this one to the side.
The bees are very calm.
Yes. The whole thing about bees, attacking folks, it's TV. It's up in South Florida. There are a few cases, and see here's where that is. It's like liver. I don't know if y'all would see that, but I put this down between the frames and turn it and pull the frames apart. Just level them out. So, You put that thing in there, turn it sideways, and you
You got
pull them apart. Okay? Again, you can use the hook, lift it up. Ah. I can tell, I haven't seen that side, but I can tell there's honey on this one.
Yeah.
Where it's all nectar. Here, hold that. Fill it,
Yeah.
hand it to him. But it's not light.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you pick that one up, you'll notice how light that one is in
This
comparison.
one is nectar.
Can I pick it up?
How do you
Yeah.
differentiate between nectar and honey?
Say again?
You said this one is nectar, right?
Yes, it's not been capped yet. Until it's capped, don't call it honey.
Oh, honey, okay.
Okay?
What is that?
Capped is like covered?
Covered.
Okay.
When
Only thing is,
it's
the
covered,
wood is wet.
when it's covered, they think it's ready.
Yeah.
Okay? Until that time, do not think it's ready yourself. Because if you harvest nectar, it's going to start fermenting on you. Okay? And then you don't have honey, you have mead. And as Muslims, we're not supposed to have mead. Unless we're going to turn it into vinegar. So I'm going to put that one back in. And I am going to
Show the camera.
pull over a couple. Now notice how that's kind of hard.
Yeah.
If you look back here, you can see
Everything is
they've glued that sucker together. The bees will glue everything together, which is why you need a good tool. Okay?
Because of preventing moisture, is that what it is?
Where in this case, that's not for preventing moisture.
But
That's just they do it anyway.
do it anyway.
Oh! Yeah, this one's definitely, oh, we got some caps. We have some capped honey. Just starting to be capped though. You know, they're gonna kind of stick their head down in there and they're gonna go, oh, this one's ready, let's cap this hole. Okay? See, we got a few capped cells. Right there.
Cap has a different color. That is cap. Yellowish.
They're the ones that are white. They're covered over.
Whitish part is a cap.
No, this is a honey frame. That's capped honey. As I was telling them, until it's capped, see this is not capped, but there's a lot of nectar in there. Until it's capped, consider it nectar and not honey. Do not fool yourself into thinking that is honey. That is not dried to the point that it's really should be considered honey. Okay? The ones that are capped, we can consider honey. The one side beside them, I'm going to say is still nectar.
And how long does it take before it's ready to harvest?
Well, when this thing is capped on both sides, that's when you're going to harvest it. Now these are first. Say again?
When it's capped, all the honey's in the middle, or does it go on the outside and you trip it?
No. The honey,
Inside the cell.
the honey is inside those cells. Okay? And you got some, they're in there tasting that honey, they're checking it, see if it's dry enough. And they're also probably eating a little of it. Okay? But here, they've got a line here that they say is ready. It's dry enough that they can cap it and forget about it. Of course, we're not going to forget about it. We're going to harvest it at some point. Oh, and don't breathe into your hive. Listen, can you hear them? When I breathe onto it, if you've been eating bananas, that's really bad.
Probably don't like garlic.
The reason I say bananas is because the chemical that is given off when they sting someone, to them smells like bananas. Smells the same. Okay.
I get them.
Now here, this is a bad deal right there.
What is that? Mold?
That is where wax moths tried to get in there.
Ouch.
Sorry, smashed one. So we're going to pull that off. Stick that back in. And as I say, you are going to get stung.
Stung you?
Yeah, yeah. I puts that up against my chest and,
Yeah.
and
Through the suit?
yeah,
Wow.
and my shirt, but it's not very deep.
Yeah.
They tend not to sting you unless you smash them.
Yeah.
That's what gets them mad enough to go, ah, I'm dying anyway, I'm going to give this guy some pain. All right, so, hear that pop?
Yeah.
Now, I turn my box sideways a little bit like that before I lift it. Now, hold that.
Can I hold it from the bottom?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. How heavy it is? Next person? That's about half. Yeah, please do not drop it.
Oh my God, this hand.
Yeah, that's only about half full. You'll get to where, no, set it sideways. Nope, we're going to set, here, beat me. I'm going to turn it this way,
Oh, wow.
and then I'm going to set it in there.
You're not afraid that things are going to fall out?
No, because they put those suckers down. And once I put it back in there, it's pretty much stuck.
Yeah.
Okay, now see how a bunch of them flew out right there when I
Yeah.
moved too fast?
Yeah.
Okay, so they said, oh, that was a threat. Okay, they're going to have wax at the bottom. You got wax at the top.
There's no cover between these two and this.
No, that's it. There's what's called B space.
Yeah.
Okay, now I left the gap in the middle here instead of at the edge.
So you tell me all of this container only has one queen.
One queen.
The queen is right here, right?
The queen's somewhere in these two boxes.
In these two boxes.
Yes, because this box and this box, I moved too fast again, are the same ways as far as they can just walk up through there. All right, so I'm going to take one of these out.
Well, why not?
Why not on the other I mean, like,
Why will she not lay eggs here?
Yeah.
Okay, because I did not put this box on here till late.
Yeah.
I did that on purpose. In the spring, when I run two boxes, in the early spring, I would take the top box and put it on the bottom, and the bottom put it on the top. Because then more than likely, she's going to be in that top box. So I want to put it back at the bottom. When they start collecting their honey, if I haven't put a super on it, they're going to put the honey at the top.
Yeah.
Okay, she won't cross honey. Not normally. Okay, because it's typically always honey once the honey starts. Okay, so there's no place for her to lay. All right, that's one of the tricks. Is you're trying to make sure she does not lay in your honey. Now this hive is brand new. This frame is brand new. I can tell that because of the color. And see, they're just starting to pull it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I say, I try to replace frames every so often. Because if you don't, they build up, the cells get smaller and smaller, and so your bees get smaller and smaller. And the wax moths will start smelling your frames, and it attracts them in. Every so often, well, place your frames. All right. What we have here, we've got a few.
Show the camera.
As good as my wife. We've got a few of these right here with nectar in them. Some lazy bees. They didn't go all the way up to
this one.
right. But see, there's honey over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is this?
All right.
Those are
So
male.
those are the males.
Male.
You listen.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I moved too fast. Sorry. So we have a little bit of gap. You have a little gap between the honey and the brood. The brood are these brown caps. And notice how this wax is now almost black.
Yeah.
Okay, instead of the light color that it was with the others.
Yeah.
So most of this probably had brood in it at one point, and now they all emerged, and she will come back in and lay eggs, hopefully. Here we have a row of males. They typically stick them at the bottom of the frame, and sometimes you see them coming off the bottom of the frame. All right, see that right there?
Yeah.
That is where they were going to start a queen cell.
Really?
Queen cells come off the bottom almost inevitably. Now this hive, I'm going to look at it. I don't know if I'm going to get through it today. I had to put a new queen. That's the one I said that I've lost 2 queens in so far.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, they're building off the bottom.
Do you expect another queen to be there, or?
No. This is like a bridge. Makes it easier for them to crawl up the thing. All right. And again, we see this. We've got a little bit of honey right here, and then we've got brood. And this is this year's hive. This was a cult swarm this year, and that's why some of these frames haven't been pulled out yet. They haven't got to it. But obviously she's laying. She's in there and laying.
Yeah.
She's in there,
Well, she's in one of these boxes.
but you can't see her, right?
I'm very bad at finding my queen, and I tend not to try to tear my hive up to the point where I'm looking for her. You know, if I see capped brood, I know she's working. She's doing her job, and they're doing their job. All right. So let me take this one over. All right, folks. So this is a frame out of the brood box. These cells right here, that's capped brood. They're in cocoon and they're capped. Okay? This is honey, right here.
So the queen comes in.
Yes. You can see these are always going to be this brownish gray color. The honey is going to be
That
actually
little
black
house would never
because when that wax is up against that honey, it absorbs light.
Some
Kind of
places
like a
It's the thing that
it goes into the cell and never makes it back out, so it tends to be black. Whereas these reflect the light back out, even though the honey only goes up the top. See these little domes?
Is it referring to the
Those are going to be male bees. Those are going to be your drones.
production?
Okay? In a few months, they will stop laying these. But these are almost always going to be on the bottom of the frame.
I understood
Okay.
right now the brood.
So this area, she probably laid that
All the bees
first,
built the brood,
and
she's
now
not
they're going to
coming.
clean it out through lay some more.
And that
Okay.
will become a
Now
hatching
there's one
for the other bees, right?
cell right there.
She's
You
producing
see it's a
working
little
bees.
bigger and it's pointed downwards.
But then
This
there
is
is
where
a
they were going to build a
hatching
queen
area,
cell.
and then there is actually the product.
They would extend that out a little bit, and if they decided they needed a queen or the swarm, they put an egg up in there and make themselves a new queen.
Which is called brood
All right.
and the nectar cell. The brood cell and the nectar cell.
No, I'm going to leave it because it's still, it's little bitty. They aborted. See how short it is? That would be
They can put
not
in the
even big
wax
enough
too,
for
but
a
it will take a lot
regular
of time for that. It's
uh,
like 10
worker
pounds of
bee. So I'm going to ignore it for
build
now.
1 pound of
If
wax.
they start making that
That's what
long,
it is in the club.
yeah, that's a problem.
It's easy if you put the wax, the job is already
In
happened.
the spring, you need to check at least once every 2 weeks.
Actually swagging there.
Because
Screen.
if you remember my
The
lecture,
wax in the screen.
No, no.
3 days for an egg to hatch,
Rub it against the
10
screen.
days for it to become capped brood,
Like
so
soap,
it's
yeah.
a queen. The queen takes a little longer.
I think they
If you check every 14 days, you should catch it.
So if you put the wax first, you make it.
All right.
So Brother Charlie, like we have a good
I was asking about the question that the pod. You use the word pod. Is a nectar cell and a brood cell? Brood.
Brood cell.
Brood cell. So
Yeah.
the root cell that I have understood from you that these cells are where the honey queen comes in and lay the eggs.
Right. Oh, excuse me. Just probably smashed one or two. No, that's bee bread. See, she's stomach. Okay. Here. See these little white dots in those?
Yeah.
That aren't capped? That's the larva.
Normal, yeah.
Okay? When they get old enough and they are actually starting to cap those, they're cap them. They're stay capped for 10 days. Then they emerge as adult bees.
Hatching part.
Say again?
Hatching. You did a hatching. Becoming a
Well,
bee.
there's an egg. The egg hatches after 3 days. Then you have larva.
Larva.
The larva eats food for about 10 days and becomes a cocoon. The cocoon, they'll be in a cocoon as capped larva for about another 10 days. And then they emerge as an adult bee.
Start working right away, I guess.
Well, first 2 days they clean the hive.
They clean the hive.
Yeah. If you go to the YouTube, look up my lecture, I go through, the various ages have various duties.
So, I mean, like, once they clean up, they can put the nectar in there, right? But
No, they won't,
they won't. Why?
because it's kind of dirty.
Okay.
Now, I say no, but if you look right there, the cell that bee just stuck its head in, it's got a little nectar in it.
Yeah.
But they will eat that back out.
They will do that.
Yeah.
So, other question was about wax.
So the wax, I was saying that I was told that the wax actually takes a lot more effort to put the wax. So you
It
actually
takes 8 pounds of honey,
honey.
not nectar, honey, to produce 1 pound of wax.
Okay, so
So
that,
it's very expensive in terms of food resources.
right. So you actually take the wax and kind of lap it on it, like a little bit.
I give it back to them, yes.
And that
yeah.
wax is commercially available, basically, or normal wax.
You can buy it.
You can buy it. And
Yeah.
then this is what
And
you
see, normally if I didn't have all you guys there, I would scrape that off, put it in a bowl, and melt it down to,
okay.
to
So
put it
recycle.
back
You
and
recycle.
recycle it. Yes. Okay, so I'm not going to go further down. I'm going to stop and let somebody else come in. Okay. All right. So here's the fun part.
Start sideways.
Well,
Well, you put
They-
it, like, give me some
they
bees,
will. You're going to kill some bees.
Some bees, huh?
Yeah, there's nothing you can do but kill a few bees.
So you need to minimize the time, like how many times you take these out
Yes.
to stop killing the bees again and again.
Yeah, well, see, I just smashed one.
Yeah.
See it sticking out there.
Some of them. Oh, man.
As I say, you're trying to keep the hive alive. If you try to keep every single bee alive, you'll never get anything done. It just doesn't work that way.
So you can buy the queen. I mean, like, how do you order the bees, Charlie?
All right, we'll get back to that after I get through all this, okay? That should also be in the lecture.
And that, what is this all about? Why do we need
That's
this
for ventilation.
ventilation?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, I asked that question to Atta. He was saying that, this one, only the normal bees can come out, but not the queen bee. Queen bee is very big, so that, I mean, like,
It's not that big.
it's not that big, right?
No. She's actually, maybe a quarter inch longer than that bee. Just long enough to get her bottom to the bottom of the cell.
she's laying that vertical.
It's only a vertical.
Summer.
Now, in
It's gonna be
in the real hot part of summer, I may leave it like that so that I get more ventilation. Okay. It's actually gotten to that temperature now.
So real hot means more than 100 degrees.
Yeah. So, all right. So as you're going out of the yard, if you turn and look at this first one, See how we got a bunch of them on the outside? And remember I showed you them building on the other thing? It's getting too hot in that box.
So that's one indicator that if you see so many of them outside, it's getting hot outside.
Yes.
So
They regulate the temperature inside the hive, but you can help them. All right, so next group, please. And if y'all will help some folks in here get dressed. Bring me back the brush if you would. Just in case I need it.
So if you start with this,
Alright. So, have y'all either kept bees before?
No.
No, but you've gone all in on it already. Alright, so here's the tool.
Okay.
Alright, we got that little notch. We got the hook. I'll show you that and the use for that in a bit. And we got this side, which is, well, listen, can you hear that pop?
Yeah.
Okay, as I say, they glue everything together. You will need your tool to leverage all that off. Okay, stick it under here. You hear that? That's, here's that glue all the way around. It'll glue that sucker tight.
You guys don't use the smoker?
I don't. Today may have been a good day to use it. But it did turn sunny. I try not to go into my hives unless the sun's shining because they don't like it. They are much more irritated on days where there's no sun. Other thing is, when there's sun, a lot of your older workers are out gathering. Okay? Right. If it's overcast, they're all in the hive. And when you open that hive up, there's more of them to get mad. All right. So, I didn't do a good job here. There's a little gap there. A little gap there. Okay. I really should have pushed them all to one side. Anyway, we put that in there and pull it apart. See that glue stretching? Alright, so sometimes you might have to shove your tool down through there. Cut them loose. That's the left side. Here. Okay, can you hear the bees? Watch this. They do not like you breathing on them. Okay? It's like a bear breathing on them. Okay, a bear is going to be breaking in the hive. It's going to be snuffling. Yeah. It makes them mad. Alright, see all that glue? You can actually sell this stuff. There are people who will buy it. Alright, see how I put that underneath that end piece? That little notch goes right there. And you can... Yeah, years and years of development.
So is that glue also wax or that the wax?
It's propiose.
It's proprio. Okay.
Now, I want y'all to hold that. Get it filled for the weight.
So this is a half one?
That's a medium,
That's a medium.
which is about half. That one's filled out, but it's empty, right?
You were telling the other group that they won't lay, they won't make honey in these two.
They will make honey, but I'll leave that for them.
Oh, okay.
That's their winter food.
That's their food, but this is the one you
This is the one I will take some from.
take some from.
This
And So those single ones, you won't take any honey from those single ones?
No. In fact, I probably won't take a lot of honey from these. These are also new this year.
Okay.
And I'm kind of conservative on my beekeeping as far as I'll try to leave them as much as necessary.
You probably don't need that.
So you leave the sorry.
The two of us don't need a huge amount of
Yeah.
honey. All right, so this one's full. You can see we've got empty cells here, but in the middle, nectar. All right. And here, this is a good frame for illustrating that. These few that have wax across the top, bees consider that honey. They're done with it. It's packed up and ready for them. You want to take a picture? And as I tell everybody, consider it until it's, sorry guys, until it's capped, consider it nectar. Call it nectar. Because you do not harvest it until it's capped. If you harvest it before it is capped, it will start fermenting. And as Muslims, we're not supposed to do it. But you can see that frame on this side is much fuller. And they will tend to fill from the middle out. All right. So do not drop it, but take away.
A question for you.
Oh, well, that's a different. Feel that.
So in the winter, you will still leave that one on if you...
In the winter, I will tend to fill this one. I tend to leave this one on.
You will leave it.
Just as I said, ignore them. Trust your suit. Feel how heavy that was. Okay, the next, yeah, that's almost all. They're doing
10 of those, if they're all full, that could be
70 pounds, 70 to 90 pounds
So when...
for the medium.
for the medium.
Okay.
The shallow, I want to bring y'all a shallow box out. When you get finished, the shallow goes about like this, so it's a little bit less.
So I noticed, so when it's all capped, they don't even stay there anymore. They go somewhere else.
Oh, they're crawl across it. Keep
They're-
an eye
yeah,
on
yeah.
it.
But most of them they will be moving from. You won't see too
Yeah.
many bees.
Or see, that's why I've got 3 boxes on that one, because they filled up the bottom two.
Right.
Oh.
So when will you be harvesting?
I harvest once a year at the end of June.
Okay. That would make a nice workshop.
Neat, though.
I like that bag too. It's really nice.
This one's
So
much
do you ever
heavier.
buy any of your boxes on Amazon, or do you?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Much better capping toward the middle. It's going to be more capped. The bees will create the brood, and they were trying to put honey around the brood. But as you move up, they put the honey above, okay? And as one of the other guys asked, how come the queen won't come up here to lay? Well, typically, once there's honey, there's no place for the queen to lay, right? So what you want to do in the spring is let them establish a layer of honey here before you put your super on.
Okay.
The queen then won't cross that honey to go into your super and lay eggs.
Now, what's the difference between the two different type of bees? You have some that's bigger and some that's smaller? Are they?
That one is a drone.
That's a drone. Okay.
That's the male bee.
That's the middle. Okay.
Okay. Just for fun.
Oh, yeah.
How much heavier that one is compared to an empty one? Grab it by the middle first.
You got it?
Just don't drop it. See how much heavier that one is? Now, 10 of those, that's about a gallon and a half of honey right there.
And so this is almost capped. Is that what?
Yeah, this is mainly capped.
Okay.
You know, there's capping,
Okay.
and you notice it's got that darker yellow and black modeling where the wax is touching the honey. It'll kind of be blackish because light flows through the wax into the honey and gets absorbed.
Okay.
Oh, there's smashed a little there.
So that one's not ready, so it
No.
needs to be fully capped
No.
before you're harvesting that.
Exactly.
Okay.
If it's not capped, it's not honey.
Okay.
It's nectar, and it will ferment.
Okay.
Those bees hopefully will walk around the hive and go to the front. I'm going to take this off and see if I can find brood for you.
You have a lot of space on the side there. Is that a problem? They won't build up any start building up something on that side.
No, there's not quite enough room.
What are you using this for?
In case I want to brush them off of
Oh, okay.
the frame.
So just now you opened that one, not this one?
Look, first group we opened up.
Oh, you opened that one.
Twist it sideways a little bit. Try to lift it straight up. Move slowly. Try not to breathe on them. Especially do not breathe on them if you've eaten bananas.
So what is this here, and do you actually scrape that off, or you leave it?
Okay. They build that so they can get easy, just walk up instead of kind of fly just a little bit. Yeah, like steps. Okay. Now, if y'all weren't here, yes, I would scrape that off and collect it so that I have wax to then put on new frames. Because
Oh, you put that on the
right, the ode, as I say, you need to replace your frames every so often. Take off the old ones that have been used as brood for a long time, and you won't be able to recover the wax from that. Because all that protein and all that will just absorb that wax. Okay?
So you melt, just boil it, you melt it out, boil it, heat it.
Okay. Here is a classic. Oh boy. This is a bad sign right there.
Queen cell.
Well, if it was right there,
Stick on the side.
see, there's one right there too. The queen in here must have gotten sick for a while, and they were thinking about replacing her. All right. So we have here where she could have been laying. We have this honey around it as insulation. Okay. Now this is an outside frame, and obviously I didn't get it waxed well enough. I haven't started pulling that one out. And that's one of my problems is I didn't expect to have 8 hives this year. So I ran out of frames.
What's going on over here?
Right there. I accidentally smashed part of a bee.
Oh, okay.
And that one's going to die. Let's go a little farther in. As I tell everybody, you will not keep your whole set of individual bees alive. Do not try to keep your individual bees alive. That's just going to be a pain in the rear.
Yeah, it's pollen.
And I just smashed one. You heard it.
So you,
That sucker out.
so you're doing 8 frames, all 8
I
frames?
accidentally bought 8
I
frames.
see. So you have to keep it going.
Yes. An 8 frame will not fit on a 10 frame. All right, we got brood. Count brood. Okay, see, this is honey in that plastic around the outside. All right, this is brood. Okay, and then built off the bottom here, those steps. Yep. But it's next 10 days, I'll have new bees come out of here, around here, and at some point, she'll come back in and lay eggs again.
So this is kind of unusual, right? On this side, at the bottom here, you got brood all over.
Over here,
Way
this is
back.
just older brood. She starts in the middle and lays kind of out, and she came back and laid some more.
Yeah, I'm saying it's like at the end of the frame there.
Yeah, because he's
Over
saying
here?
that used to be there.
Over here? Yeah, they just added some more place to lay. I don't see any larvae down in here, and I'm not going to take much more out.
So this is just kind of a little bit extra. This is not a queen cell here, right?
No, they're just adding.
Overproducing.
Yeah, especially in the spring, they're either going to start, flying off, creating new hives, or they're going to put wax everywhere because what is it? It's 2 days of cleaning, about 7 days of feeding, being a nurse bee, and then they become the wax producer. Okay, where when you start building up all your things, you start building up those wax producers, and they start putting wax. And if they got more wax than they need for covering the brood, they start filling in the in between.
How often will you try to harvest the wax from
Whenever I open a hive,
Okay.
if I'm going to go down all the way through the hive, I will scrape that off, put it into a container, and then later I'll put it back. Okay.
So the bottom ones I just pointed out, so that's extra wax. So would you take that off too, like at some point?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's kind of overgrown.
It's overgrown. Yeah, yeah. Please move slowly. I've been moving too fast today. So they're not very happy. Plus, I've actually been talking too much.
Oh, really? They don't like
See how they jumped out right then when I moved a little faster? Okay. You learn to move slowly, and when I breathed on them, they hear them buzzing, or even just talking, I'm leaving that carbon dioxide in the air, and they can smell it. It's the same, if I talk too much, it's kind of like breathing on them eventually. Alright, so I'm not going to go any further. I'm just demonstrating this to you guys. So see how these started crawling up to the top? So we get that in. Drop the boxes. Makes them really mad. Try not to bump them too much. Know that you were crushing bees. For some reason, as soon as you make that little gap, they start going into that little gap. Slowly lower it down. Most of them will come out. But you heard everyone in there. Okay. The bottom of your inner cover, like I say, this is all Propios, but you see the wax. They kind of glued it together as well. And the fewer of them you crush, the less I'm getting mad.
That is they see it, they just try to come through it.
I know. It's
It's
like,
weird.
I don't know. It's like, if you would get out of the way, I wouldn't crush you. But they are going to, as soon as they see that narrowing gap, they head for it. I don't understand it, but I know it happens. Oh, and like I say, this is king ant. He's supposed to keep the other ants away, but he doesn't do a very good job. A lot of folks are way the top of their hives down. Now, I don't have as big a problem. I got trees everywhere around, so
Now
that was kind of a weight.
I can see the slant, but this one looks a little bit more flat. Is there a certain way that you're able to do it to make it more to the water?
Well, you see here, I put a 2x4 on this side. There's no 2x4 on the other side.
Okay.
Now, I might add, a little more next spring, because for some reason these blocks are kind of going. I don't
The
understand.
earth is going down, it's probably.
Yeah. All right, we got another set. We got more folks that want to come in. So I'm going to let y'all go in first. And you can look backwards then. This way. We're going to open this hive.
You know, I've never been stung by a bee.
Where else?
It makes
If
me
you-
nervous.
I got stung right there. Unless you're allergic to it, get used to it. Now listen. Hear that pop? They glue everything shut. Even this, they can't do a very good job of it, but see right there? All the way around, that was glue.
Because of the cork, they can't get a good grip.
Well,
they don't
they don't
like
get a
you.
little,
They aren't around you?
Yeah,
ignore them.
they don't,
Trust your suit.
they don't like me at all.
You wear any type of, well, you got a dark beard for one thing.
Oh,
You look kind of like a black bear.
okay.
Okay,
It's the beard. All right.
that's part of it. See,
All
they're
right.
watch. They're all toward the bottom of his face.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
Can't help it.
Get you something white you can put across the front of your
I
beard.
do.
when you-
I have it in my pocket.
Oh, do you?
And again, listen. See that glue? Right there.
All right, little bees. Let's cover the beard.
Now see, this one does not have that little notch. I probably ought to go put a notch in it myself. This is a honey super. This one's relatively new. See, it's still dirty. I haven't had much rain to wash it off. Do not try to keep every single bee alive. You will never do so. I'm moving too fast today. I had some Coca-Cola today.
Oh, that needs to be.
What? Helps. And they're all getting a little nervous. I've been talking too much. You don't want to breathe on your bees. Can you hear them? Can you hear them? When I breathed on them, I heard that. Now they're out and flying around more. Yeah. Breathing on them, you again act like a black bear.
I am trusting this suit.
Trust your
They
suit.
are not happy with me.
It won't prevent you from getting. Oh, one of them just stuck in your glove. All right. So you got the hook. You got the notch. Take the hook. Put it down
Oh,
underneath
they are
there.
stinging. They're stinging the glove.
Yeah. They do not like you at all.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Where I'm doing a little bit of a voiceover right now. For what you're watching with the brother here is what happens when unhappy bees decide that they're going to tell you they're unhappy. Now, if you notice, they were bouncing off the front of his shield. And right now he's getting instructions from Charlie to leave the bee compound and walk around our deck, at which point the bees should quit chasing him. We don't know why those bees decided that they didn't like him, but you notice now that he's moved out of the frame, you don't see the clouds of bees necessarily. But at this point, the bees started getting more aggressive and agitated. So we went ahead and stopped the presentation. Charlie explained some of the possible reasons they're agitated. If you listen carefully, he's said it 3 times at this point. But the brother, we can't really come up with a reason, specific reason, why they were aggressive with him. And hopefully, inshallah, this brother will return to work the hives again, and we'll see, we'll make a point in making him go, or having him go in to the compound first to see if the bees react to him the same way. If they do, then we need to find a solution to what we assume the problem is, which can be anything from the fact that he had a wonderful, beautiful, big, bushy black beard, and bees don't like black, to a hair product or an aftershave that he may have been wearing. There was another brother who, in this group, that the bees got a little agitated with, and the only thing that my husband could come up with is, A, they've been bothered by 3 or 4 sets of invaders, the human invaders, and they were just fed up, and that he may have had something in his hair or on his body that they didn't like. But remember that bees have very, very sensitive senses of smell. So when you come, and I hope everyone will come to our workshops, we already have our mentorships full for right now, but we'll be having workshops, which will be general workshops like this, periodically, that you will remember to abide by the rules so you don't get less of a chance of being stung, and we can all have a good time. This was a wonderful turnout. Thank you to everyone who came. I hope you learned some things. Indeed, beekeeping isn't for everyone, but you never know until you try. And even if you don't have space for your own hives, come learn the craft. You never know when you will have space. It took us almost 10 years of joining bee clubs and participating in group events like this before we actually took the plunge and got our first hives. So until our next meeting and until our next workshop, everyone, I wish you peace, love, and joy, and assalamu alaikum.